Anyway, that's a fun song. We enjoy that one. Hello, everybody. Welcome in to the show. I just did a fucking 3.5 hour long stream on the line, transatlantic call-in show today. So I'm still sort of like, on one hand, I'm sort of riding that high a little bit. And on the other hand, I'm like, whew, it's already been a busy day. I had to have apartment maintenance people in my place yesterday and today, and that's always stressful because I'm like, wow, you know, what would be really great is if I didn't need my landlord coming into my place. Hello, Screen Lux, rip text Lux, true. So yeah, everything's fine. I just was a little bit stressed out. The person who was in my apartment today wore the mask without me having to push it very much. I did the thing where I just left it on the door and I put like a bag around it and I was like, here you go. That's for you. Please wear it. And it went well. So that was great. Yeah, I got to put in a work order about the wasp nest on my balcony. Right. I absolutely fucking loathe having people in my apartment. And I think they need to do one more thing tomorrow. So, God, I'm not excited about it. But good grief. There's 16 people in here and 17 likes. That's amazing. Veronica, thank you so much for the tier 1 sub. I wish I could do more to support you, and I wish I could auto-renew, but times are rough. Stay safe. No worries. Thank you so much. That's really generous. I very much appreciate it, because any amount of donos helps when you owe, like, fucking over $1,000 in taxes. So, yeah. No, we're doing good. But yeah, I mean, hello, everybody. I see some folks hanging out in the YouTube chat. There's Nikki. There's Alex. Hello, Jinarin. Or Jinarin. I don't know where to put the emphasis. Veronica, hello. And Vial of Page, hello. What's up, Mersh? Got Spider here. My bank account is very sad today after paying for electrolysis. Oh, God, yeah. I cannot imagine. I'm like, am I... Like, sometimes I think maybe I want to get, like, laser hair removal on my legs. And I'm just like, I don't know if it's worth it for how much it apparently fucking hurts. Ugh. And it's costed the money. Hello, Ryan. Welcome in. Need more wallet salad. I mean, it just seems frivolous. Like, if I could either have electrolysis or whatever done, or I could just have several $100s and keep it in my savings account. Like, I would much rather do the latter, even though I could technically afford to get hair removal, you know? Why am I paying so much to get stabbed with hot needles? You know, it's like you got a kink or something. You're really into it, I guess. I know that hairy legs aren't a bad thing, like, objectively. I just don't like having hairy legs, is what I've figured out. Because, you know, when I was a teenager, I was like, I really want to shave my legs because that's what I want to do with society, I guess. I don't know. I don't really think I had a specific reason. And then I came out as trans, and like sometimes I would grow my hair out on my legs, and I did that twice, and both times I was like, I don't like this. So now I have an epilator. Do you know what an epilator is, y'all? I'm sure a lot of the trans girls here know what an epilator is, but it's like a machine that it kind of just like looks like a razor, like an electric razor. And mine even has a detachable head that you can put one on. But it's got like a bunch of metal plates that just move like this. And then those are like stacked along a rotating plane. So they're like pulling and spinning and doing this. Like, and from the side, it would kind of look like this. Like, grabbing onto the hairs and tearing them out of your skin. So I like it, because it's very effective, and also it doesn't really feel like anything anymore. At first it fucking really hurts. Spider, thank you so much for the tier 2 sub. No comment, but we still very much appreciate the dono. Enjoy your dicks. Dicks. There we go. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. But yeah, so I am using an epilator because it's, you know, the ingrown hairs, like, and irritation are just like different than shaving. When I like shaving, I don't know, I don't like it. It gives me so much like razor bumps everywhere. Very unpleasant. And also, apparently, like, if you rip the hair out by its follicle enough times, you can like damage the follicle with scar tissue. And so I actually do have a bald spot on my leg from sitting here tweezing, because I'll just sit here with tweezers and like yank them out. And just on that one spot, basically. And it is like basically a bald spot on my leg. So I figure if I use the epilator, it'll gradually thin the hair out. But yeah, it definitely hurts like a fucking bitch at first. And I would not suggest using it on your private parts. And also, I would not recommend using the epilator if you have any stretch marks on your legs. I would not suggest using an epilator over your stretch marks. As a Portuguese girl, I have a lot of arm hair. I remember being made fun of a lot at a water park as a kid. Some girl asked her dad, "Why are her arms so hairy?" And I have shaved my arms ever since. Ah, that's a bummer. You know, that it's something that other people are bothered by. Because me, like, I just don't like having leg hair because I don't like the way it feels. Like, it's a sensory problem. So, yeah, new bottom surgery just dropped. Hello, Baphomet. Yes. Anybody who didn't know this, so I realize, like, I don't know how else to get this info to you. You people who were talking about how you did not know that I was on the Transatlantic call-in show because you don't check your Discord notifications. I'm like, I don't know how else I could possibly tell you and be guaranteed. You know, it's like, how else are you going to be guaranteed to know that I've done something? Because I was not live on my channel. I was only a guest on the Transatlantic call-in show. Had the easiest game of Wintergrasp in my life earlier. Nice. Well done. I need an epilator. My face is a torment. I wanted to stop by to say hi and also get a sub. Yeah, thank you, Veronica. I appreciate that. Hello. I don't know if I would use an epilator on my face. I tweeze my facial hair a bit. I don't like yank them the way that I yank my leg hairs out when I'm trying to destroy the hair follicles there. But yes, hello, Peanut Butter Blondie. Discord notifications are difficult to trim down. Either my phone is constantly blowing up or I miss stuff I want to see. Yeah, that's the struggle. I just don't have most of my Discord notifications on. Like, yeah, I have most of them kind of muted for most of the servers. Because, listen, I'm in so many servers. I'm a creator who goes on other people's shows sometimes and does, like, panels and collaborations occasionally. And you have to be in all of those Discord servers. You know, in order, because people host usually that way instead of on a call. So yeah, it's kind of a pain in the ass. And when people say that they try to keep their look, okay, listen, is this gonna do anything? I guess it's gonna reveal the profile pictures of people who have DM'd me in the past year or so, because some of these are from like a year ago. But when people say, okay, you know, I guess I'll scroll down here. When people say that they want to avoid having a bunch of notifications on, like, I don't know how you possibly could pair that. Like, I just don't even bother to pare down my notifications on Discord. That's just what they look like, you know? Anyway, I gotta drink some fucking water. Holy shit. Yeah, no worries, Veronica. Take care of yourself. Yeah, have a good day. Got a cute cat with you? Ooh. Having a cat around is so lovely. What's up, Aaron and Speedy Shimeji and Paul Hack over in the YouTube chat. I'm in 10 Discords just for the emotes. I don't have Discord Nitro. I probably should, though. That would definitely enable us to do more shit in the Discord server. Because I would be able to stream TV shows and stuff, like, or movies for us to just, like, comment on. Because I thought that I've been talking for a while about maybe doing, like, a dragon-related watching stuff on the show. Or, sorry, watching stuff on the Discord kind of thing. Anyhoozle. And I was also kind of considering today on the show, like, we've got the politics stuff, but I also kind of maybe wanted to do a little bit of, like, a debate review, almost, of watching a couple of the segments from the Transatlantic call-in show earlier today. Because I honestly feel like I fucking owned it. And then maybe we could do that in addition to the politics stuff. I don't know. How do people feel about maybe only one of the conversations? There was a woman who called from Australia who was like, she was making an argument about, you know, whether we should, like, have certain kinds of care covered under public health care. So we were like talking about bodily autonomy and when care is necessary versus when it's just wanted. And yeah, it was a long convo. A bit of a gender critical moment. Not like terribly, but like a little tiny bit. And then there was a guy who we had on, Gabriel, who was like, I mean, he kind of was a Jordan Peterson drone, is how I would describe him. And things definitely got a little bit, they were not so spicy with Pamela. I think that I made a lot of good arguments with Pamela, but we got spicy with Gabriel. So I kind of was thinking maybe we could watch the conversation with me and Arden Hart and random call-in person Gabriel. Hello, Ela Devine. Haven't been here in a while. How you doing? Oh, today I'm doing pretty good. I was on the Transatlantic Call-In show earlier today. We were just talking about it a little bit. I had a great time, and I will gladly come back. The people in the chat really seemed to enjoy. I saw some of you folks in the chat. Gayfesh was hanging out over there. And yeah, I had a fantastic time. So I was feeling kind of shitty earlier this week, and then I called one of my friends last night and talked for a while, and then today I had a really good show with the Transatlantic Call-In show, and now I'm ready to do this shit. I'm ready for this. It's time. Yeah, did Wes call at any point? Wes did not call today. I understand that he is kind of the final boss of the show. Someone in the comments was like, good to have Lux part of the family now on the Transatlantic Call-In show, and Jimmy was like, Luxander is not part of the family until they go up against either Wes or someone else. Who's the other one? He's a GC who calls in a lot, and I'm 80% sure he subs to Arden's OnlyFans. Oh, man. That's fucking hilarious. So, yeah, no, I did not get to do Wes or, I guess, the other recurrent. I don't think it was Simon. Simon does not sound familiar. Oh, my gosh. My back hurts like a motherfucker. Oh, gosh. Man, you just get a spot like right in the middle of your back, you know? Good grief. I don't know why my brain remembers these and forgets my own grocery lists. Totally different types of memory, you know? Okay, I don't want that. Not that. Cool, thank you. My kitty is in heat right now. Oh no, that's so annoying. Like the meowing. I know that you said like poor her, but I'm just thinking, oh my god, my ears. Ah, goodness gracious. It's one of the nice things about having isopods as my main pet is that they don't really bother me that much. I was really surprised to find out that Arden keeps isopods. Her and Matt keep isopods. Because, well, I mean, they have a shit ton of terrariums, terraria, so that's why. But that's kind of just a neat thing to have in common with people. This week really turned around for me. Started with a bad turn at work and a broken car, and now I have had 2 days off and feel euphoric. It turns out that sleeping well is a hell of a drug. Oh my god, Spider. Sleep is so important. I feel like I've been sleeping not enough lately, but I've been sleeping well enough, so that feels good. I had a female cat that called up a bobcat once from the woods to court her. Oh gosh. She did not mention rubber duckies. She did not mention rubber duckies at all. She mentioned like a lava type one. I can't remember what exactly she called it, but she said it was like red with black splotches or something along those lines. Anyway, it was some kind of rare type, and she said that they were not supposed to breed very well, but they were doing really well in her environment, and I was like, damn, that's pretty cool. I'm 3 days out from my last Adderall, so ADHD is zooming. Yeah, I did not take any Ritalin today. What a boss-ass bitch. Get that bobcat dick, queen. It's like, he's got to be like 3 times her size. A male bobcat versus like a female house cat. That's got to be crazy. Why are we talking about the logistics of a bobcat fucking a house cat? How do I get roped into this? But yeah, no. I think Arden is really cool. I hadn't watched very much of her content prior to today, so I kind of familiarized myself with her and the show a little bit. After having not been super familiar with it, at least like not recently. I watched some in like December, but the show has changed a little bit since then. But yeah, wow, it was such a good time. The size difference. Yeah, Smuggy, fair enough. Her content or her content, Smuggy? No, I just meant like her on YouTube, not on her OnlyFans. I actually did think that earlier. I was like, is there any chance that I have seen her by accident before? But like, I don't think so. Because, I mean, she's like, if she's on OnlyFans, then her content is not probably going to be cross-posted to any of the like shitty websites that I frequent. Who's Arden? So yeah, let me pull this up really quick because I do think it would be fun to do a little debrief of this. Let's go. I'm starting to get a little tired. I'm like, oh yeah, now the tiredness is kicking in. So Arden is one of the hosts of the Transatlantic Call-In show. She is a sex worker. Like, she has an OnlyFans. She's trans. She's dating Matt Dillahunty, who is like a famous atheist guy. And yeah, so she was the one who was primarily hosting the Transatlantic Call-In show today. This is her. She is yeah, like she's a trans girl, and that's pretty much it. So I was thinking about maybe doing a little bit of a review of one of the sections of this on stream today. Momentarily, perhaps. If you follow her Twitter, you'll see some stuff. Oh, well, rip. I followed her on Twitter today because she messaged me on Twitter. And I was like, oh yeah, I should follow her. She followed me, so I should follow her. And I was like, well, I guess there's... I already have plenty of girlfriends who like... And I mean girlfriend in that colloquial way that straight women use it. I have plenty of trans girlfriends who are like sex workers. So it's like, I've seen the parts of some people. I just haven't really talked in person with any of those people in the way that I have talked now in person with Arden. So I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's fine. It's just weird a little bit. I got a 2-inch long burn on my forearm at work from the hot metal rod that we used to cut the plastic wrap. Really sucked, but it barely hurts now. Yo, burns are not no big deal though. Like, you should still treat it like it's an open wound and like probably try to make sure it has antibiotic ointment and like cover it and stuff. So, am I one of your parasocial trans girlfriends? I don't think I follow you on Twitter. I think maybe I've seen you on Twitter, but I haven't followed you on Twitter. I put the goop on it. Good. Good about goop. She was talking about Florida and reptiles. That's going away soon, though, because the laws that DeSantis has been passing down there. Wait, what? Who? Who was talking about? Oh, yeah. She said that she was basically, like, not going to be able to safely go to any reptile shows in Florida because they just passed those laws. Save money on goop with a Goupon. Delicious. Somebody on my OnlyFans gave me money for streaming gear, which is pretty baller. Do y'all think people will watch a cam show where I rant about politics? I'm sure someone would be into it. I don't know. If you're like doing something sexual and then like talking about politics at the same time. I don't know. I gotta follow you. I just got involved in Twitter this week for the first time ever. If you see a Stolas, that's me. Wow, why are you just now joining Twitter? I'm just curious. Like, what motivated you to join Twitter now? Haven't seen your appearance on Transatlantic yet, but will as soon as class is over. Much love, Lux. Thank you, Anansi. Thank you. Yeah, I want to maybe just try to find the beginning of this next section. And, you know, maybe we could watch this. Let me make sure. How long does this take? Okay, we start at about... an hour 12. When do we get off the phone with Gabriel? I said 1 hour 12, right? So 1 hour 12. Whoop, hold on. That was a switch over. Okay, so it's about 22 minutes long, this section of the conversation with Gabriel. So yeah, I mean, I would like to go over it. It won't take that long. Maybe like an hour. Watch me fuck myself as hard as Florida is fucking minorities. True. Oh my God. I think that there's like 3 different Florida stories today. I'm pretty sure... What's today? Is today the 18th? Yes. 5/18/23. So I'm pretty sure there's like a Florida bathroom bill that passed. We have the Florida take kids away bullshit. And there's the Florida... no nurse practitioners. can give hormones slash Planned Parenthood's closing down gender services. There's like 3 different things going wrong with Florida today. And I had to make those notes because I'm not 100% sure that I have links ready for those. Can't believe we've gotten to the point where we have multiple Florida stories per day now. Right, it's accelerating rapidly. And it's just like, oh my God, every goddamn day. Disney fixed up Florida. They withdrew a $1 billion development plan. Yeah, I saw that. And we'd actually discussed that a little bit on the Transatlantic show. I was saying that, like, I think that threatening states that are trying to pass these laws, threatening them with removing your business from the state is functionally the only thing you can do against them. Didn't DeSantis do some photo op with like 5 fascist laws he signed? I didn't see that. I wouldn't be surprised though. But yeah, it felt like we were talking about Florida increasingly every once in a while, and then now it's felt like, okay, every week we have to talk about Florida at least once a week on stream. We have to have one Florida segment. And now there's like, okay, well, now I'm going to have one Florida segment that's 3 different news articles, 3 different news items, because I couldn't spread it out into different segments if I wanted to at this point. It seems that using the already fragile supply chain as a bargaining chip is fairly effective. Yeah, I mean, not just that, but also not tutorial. Why? It's also like when you bring organizations and have conventions and stuff like that, where you're bringing tourist money and, you know, buying out the convention center and all this kind of shit, and opening businesses as well. That's another thing that we can threaten these guys with is, you know, I don't want to open my business in this state because you all have like these anti-trans bathroom laws, and I don't want my employees or my customers to be put in that situation. So if you pass this law, then I am not, maybe like Walmart or whoever, like some big company just decides not to put a new building there. That's money that they're going to be missing out on taxes, like taxes on the land, property taxes, like whatever other business taxes are going to be applicable in that given state. So yeah, I believe that punishing them financially is really the only thing we can do. So any events that are going to be held in these places, like, probably should find somewhere else to be. I mean, and additionally also, like, if you have any trans people at your events, like, they can't go to the bathroom safely there. So you don't want, like, you can't, like, it's not accessible to trans people in that case. Yeah, Florida is like that problematic child in the principal's office every other week. What is it this time, Florida? What did you do this time? Oh yeah, there was some Hispanic truck drivers boycotting Florida, and they have had less like way fewer groceries is one of the main things that's different. But it's not just a boycott, if I'm not wrong. Like, part of it is that it genuinely is like workers who would potentially be detained under these new regulations that are passing in Florida regarding like immigration status. So they're saying, well, if you're going to make it even more dangerous, like, first of all, the guys who are in a like potential gray area with their documentation are going to be less safe. And then I guess their other truck drivers are maybe just getting on board with that and just agreeing to refuse to drive shit to Florida. I don't know. I haven't really looked into that in depth, but I have seen like the pictures of the empty grocery stores. Yeah, I don't really think that the goal is for Florida to be a good place to live. I kind of feel like the goal is to try to make Ron DeSantis look really cool and strong and show like, oh, look at this. We can just pass all these laws. You know, we've been too scared. We've been such little ninny babies about this so many years. Like, I'm Ron DeSantis and I'm posturing the power of the Republican Party. Look at, you know, we won't let them win this culture war. We can fight back. We can make being trans totally illegal. You know, we have the power. And then they're like gonna use that to make Ron DeSantis like try to be president. We'll see if it works. I don't know if it's gonna work. Good grief. Ugh. And it's ruining them. Yeah, but the thing about like despotic governments is that they don't care about the people that they hurt. Do you know, you realize that people in Russia are like not having a good time under all of the sanctions and stuff because Russia is being like militarily aggressive to Ukraine still? It is not like you know, we're not punishing the government really. I mean, yes, to an extent there are like economic things that are not great, but like on the ground level, people not having food and stuff like that, like artists not being able to make money because the biggest credit card processing stuff, like, so independently employed artists are just like out of a job now and have to find other work, and like the economy fucking sucks, and like the people who get harmed by that are individuals. So yeah, like despotic governments don't care about harming individual people. Like Ron DeSantis will burn Florida to the ground if it means that he gets to be president of the United States. They will probably never recover from this. I mean, remains to be seen. You know, if they can reintegrate into the world stage the way that Germany has, then maybe there's some chances that, you know, we will be able to have a healthy relationship globally with Russia. We can fucking hope. I saw a TikTok of empty construction sites. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If you try to get rid of these type of workers, which frankly, you know, here's the other thing. I do, you know, if they have an easy path to citizenship, then they're going to have access to better jobs. And so it just occurred to me that maybe making it hard for them to be citizens is part of making sure that there is a depressed wages workforce that can't advocate for themselves. With regards to like, if you pay them less than minimum wage, that is breaking the law. But if they report you, then you will report them to ICE and then they will get deported, and that's not what they want. So they kind of have no choice but to accept terrible conditions. So like, yeah, making it harder for them to be in this country and is like shooting yourself in the foot, because you need those laborers. Because I mean, what we're doing is like roundabout forms of slavery, like finding ways of paying people very little money in order to do like crazy hard work. And like, would anyone want to do that work if everybody was well cared for? It would obviously still need to be done, but you would need to incentivize it with like a lot of pay, like a lot of pay. From what I understand, many of the sanctions were aimed at oligarchs and government officials, but certainly not all, and those forces can always shift harm to the most vulnerable. Well, so it's not just sanctions, legally speaking. It's also just private entities choosing not to do business in the country of Russia. You know, like PayPal and MasterCard and Visa all deciding not to do business in Russia because of, like, basically them as companies deciding to boycott the country. You know, that is an unofficial activity, and, you know, it isn't just aimed at specific individuals. That's hurting every person who lives in Russia. If we can ungerrymander the state, people forget that Florida wasn't suddenly turned red. It was that when DeSantis got into office, his first priority was pushing through a horribly gerrymandered map that locked him into his seat. Legislators in Washington with spines could undo it, but there's no will there. Yeah, I don't know to what extent the federal government has power to step in with something like gerrymandering. I would really have to, like, look into that quite a bit to find answers. Like, can federal government step in with state gerrymandering? Is there a federal law? Okay, so racial gerrymandering is a violation of constitutional rights, according to a 1995 decision. The Supreme Court, they could, and they just decided not to. That's a fucking bummer. The current court basically ruled that the South isn't racist anymore. So they're basically saying because this previous case only had to do with racial gerrymandering, we've decided that the type of gerrymandering that's happening now, since it's about which voters are voting which direction and not about which race is voting which direction, like because that it doesn't count. Gerrymandering is okay as long as it's not along racial lines, I guess, according to the US government. Is that the like place that we're at with this currently? We need a national legislation that makes it so based on the most recent state/national elections, that makes it so maps cannot be drawn in such a way that changes the outcomes from popular vote by more than like 1%. I really think that part of the issue is that we need to get rid of first past the post voting. Like, I think that having some kind of ranked voting system would make it a lot better. When I was in school, I learned what gerrymandering is. I learned that gerrymandering and pork barreling were illegal. And then I learned that was a fucking lie. What's pork barreling? Oh my god, that sounds so dirty. It sounds really nasty. This makes me think of moving out of Ohio sooner. The governor here has been debating rejecting trans care for those on Medicaid for no reason. Yeah, exactly, Anansi. They can just take action outside of the normal process and just decide, well, we don't think that gender affirming care is real, so we've decided that we are not going to like cover it on Medicaid. Like, that just isn't healthcare. We've just decided that isn't healthcare. That's cosmetic. And it's like for your delusion, which like if I'm getting gender affirming care in order to assuage my delusion, is that not just like the mental health care medicine? I don't know. Don't move to Ohio. Ohio is toxic. Like toxic waste in Ohio. Wow, there's so many green names. I love you all so much. We are wonderful people who support the show and make it free, and that's amazing. Thank you so much. I don't know why Democrats didn't do this years ago when they realized Republicans were doing it. This was going on for 10 years at least. Oh, you mean like the gerrymandering and the stacking of the courts? Because if you gerrymander everything to fuck, but you also put in a bunch of people in power who are the same folks who are trying to keep the deck stacked a certain way, then of course the judges are not going to say that it's gerrymandered. They're going to be like, yep, nope, looks good to me. Everything looks fine. Just one more reason to not go to Ohio. There are so many reasons. Pork is when they wrap spending favorable to their district in unrelated bills. Oh, pork barreling. Okay. Like, yeah. That makes sense. I wish I could sub. Partner hasn't gotten their first check yet. Ooh, money's tight. Yeah. No worries. No worries. I completely get it. Move to Michigan, bad roads and long winters, but there's lots of breweries if you're into that. Didn't Michigan also recently do away with gerrymandering somehow? Like they changed something with regards to like how the popular vote stuff works. Or did they decide that the electoral votes from Michigan were only going to be based on a popular vote and not based on like district? I don't know. Medicaid pays for therapy, hormones, and doctor. Everything else I have to pay out of pocket, and I work at a temp agency. Might have to do survival sex work when it comes to stuff like FFS. Yeah, it's crazy that that was actually one of the callers that we had on Transatlantic Show today. Was we talked about the fact that FFS is generally not covered. It's generally considered cosmetic, even though, you know, for some people that is one of the main things that helps you literally survive and like keep a job. You know, for example, people don't necessarily want to hire someone who is visibly trans, and if you get FFS, then you will be less visibly trans. Getting bottom surgery is not going to help you keep a job, not a normal job at least, you know. Jiminy Christmas. Tomorrow I get paid and I'm going to do plasma, so I will double the amount of money I have. Oof. Oh, that's rough, for sure. Being clockable is a pre-existing condition. Oh my god. Jeez Louise. Let's go ahead and let me see if I can get this teed up so that we can do a little response to this. I'm gonna drink some more water. Holy fuck. Oh my gosh. I am looking forward to having snacks later. Ooh, you know what? I might make pancakes for dinner. That sounds yummy. Oh my god, what if I... Ooh, I should go thaw the bacon, I think. Maybe I should go pull the bacon out of the freezer. And then I'll have, like, breakfast for dinner. Oh man, that sounds really good. I'm gonna do that really quick. While I'm gone, you should hit the like button. I'm only gonna be gone for, like, maybe a minute tops. So hit the like button, and then we're gonna come back, and we're gonna watch this conversation I had on Transatlantic Call-In Show earlier today. And hopefully you all will have fun with that. So I'll BRB. Just gonna get the bacon. Bacon, 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 bacon. Bacon, bacon, bacon. You should bake the bacon with some brown sugar on it. I did the other day. Is delish. Yeah, but if I'm gonna have pancakes, I don't want to have sweet bacon. Like, the bacon needs to be really salty to offset how sweet the pancakes are. Yeah. I have cupcake right now. I gotta get some of these sprinkles out of here, because there's too many. Too many sprinkles, too many sprinkles. Too many sprinkles, too many sprinkles. Anyway. Pigs produce 3 times the legal amount of shit that humans do. Wait, what? Legal amounts of shit? I've never heard of illegal amounts of shit. Maple bacon donuts. I've never had a maple bacon donut. That sounds crazy. But yeah, so far I'm just saying, it's fucking Thursday. I hope that everybody's had an okay week so far. If you have a normal work week, I hope it's going well for you, and that Friday treats you well tomorrow. Does anybody else do this with their cupcakes? You like pull the bottom of the cupcake off and then put it on top and then eat it like a little cupcake sandwich? That's what I like to do. Mm-hmm. That's delicious. Okay, let's watch this Transatlantic Call-In Show. That sounds fun, huh? Okay, let me put in my earbud. Where's my earbud? Ah! Okay, we'll listen to the show. I'm a cupcake sandwich. Okay, that's probably true. Let's do it.
All right. So we're going to keep cruising right along. Next, we've got Gabriel in Canada. Pronouns are he, him. Gabriel, you're on the line. What's going on?
Hello, how's it going?
Hey.
So
Hello.
good.
Good. Well, yeah, as you can see from my question, I'll just read out my question again.
Sure.
So why should we, or me, I should say, why should I use your preferred pronouns, or like the preferred pronouns of people who prefer different pronouns than I suppose what they were born with sexually?
Sure. So this kind of is relating to the question of Pamela of like want versus need. And in my view, the evidence on trans people and affirming trans identities.
It's like, you know that he's a chud when he first starts off going like, yeah, the pronouns are biological. Like, you're born with pronouns. His pronouns are biological. I knew you liked pulling apart bottoms, Lux. Oh my god, so true, Anansi. I just destroy those bottoms by tearing them in half. Yeah, you're born with pronouns. They're an intrinsic part of your being, apparently. Loving the Lux/Arden/Small Lux show. I need, like, a frame around my little window, but that's okay.
Would suggest that not using trans people's correct pronouns is harmful to their well-being. It has them excluded from their communities and their jobs and education and housing, whereas affirming trans people's identity is indicated with positive life outcomes, mental health outcomes equivalent with that of their cis peers, and access to all of those things we just talked about. So I would say that
Arden is so like kind and direct, and I really appreciate that about her. She's very cool. I would have just laughed immediately, like immediately laughed him off the show. That's why y'all are professionals. Yeah, well, we have to entertain the conversation a bit, because you know you might have someone on the fence in the audience, or you might be like teaching someone how to have these arguments in a constructive way. So it's still cool to do. You put your pronouns in, you take your pronouns out, you put your pronouns in, and you shake them all about. True. Truly. Okay.
the reason you should use people's pronouns is because it harms them to not, and it benefits them greatly to do so.
Yeah,
And
like basic
what if
human
I don't-
respect.
Oh.
Yeah, I was just gonna add on to Arden's point there. Like, you know, I'm gonna call you Gabriel because that's the name.
I feel like my voice is so much squeakier in this video than it actually is in my real life. Like, or like even like on my show, like what was it about my microphone going through this thing that made it sound the way that, because it does not sound normal to me. I don't know if that's just me.
that you gave us. Maybe if I got to know you and became a friendly with you, I could call you Gabe, and maybe you'd be cool with that. If I decided one day that you actually look a lot more like a Jessica, and I decided that I'm going to call you Jessica and Jessie, and you're a cute little girl and you she her pronouns, like, you know, I might mean it in all good fun, maybe on some level. But at the end,
This reminds me of that Atheist Experience show, but for gender. Yeah, I mean, that's basically what it is. Matt Dillahunty, who used to be on the Atheist Experience, is now on various shows on The Line, which is this channel. Like, this is the Transatlantic call-in show on this channel called The Line, which has a different, like, call-in show almost every day of the week, basically. And Matt Dillahunty is on a couple of them. And this woman is Matt Dillahunty's girlfriend. So, yes. And Matt was hanging out in the chat during this, so that was fun. Imposter Lux. Right, like, I don't know if it's just me, but I just, like, I edit my own videos, right? So I do listen to my own voice as it comes through this microphone, and it sounds different on this. I'm like, I really am gonna have to voice train if I go on The Line again. Like, it really bothers me after having listened to it a little bit earlier. Like, it does not sound the way that it sounds to me normally, and I don't know if that's, like, because there's something different about my computer. I don't know which is the more true iteration of my voice, and that bothers me a lot.
end of the day, like, you know that that's not your name. And if I persist with this kind of treatment, like if I were to tease you in that way at the workplace, at a certain point, you cross the line into simply harassment if the person doesn't appreciate it. And, you know, conferring someone's name onto them is a really important affirmation.
You also have to, like, start chill. You know, you have to begin and, like, not immediately sink your teeth in, you know, when you have someone who's disagreeing with you like this. You know, it's worth a good faith explanation before things get acrimonious, which they will.
Of their identity. You know, for a lot of us, our names were a gift from our parents, or we went through a journey of self-acceptance and we chose our name. You know, some people even just decide to shed their childhood nickname and go by their full name when they're older. And, like, we respect that evolution when it's literally anybody else, you know? My mom had one of those long names that she got shortened in one way when she was younger, and then she decided she hated that. And we kind of just confer that amount of basic human respect to other individuals because we live in a society where we generally don't want there to be unwanted friction and conflict among individuals when it's really easy to avoid. And like Arden was saying, like, there is demonstrable harm in this case. So, you know, if you're saying I don't want to honor people's pronouns, you're saying that you understand that it's harmful and you're choosing to be harmful.
Well, I'd say that there are a lot of consent.
Damn, Lux, what a good point. There were a couple times where I was like, damn, that was such good words. Like, man, I did such good words right then. It's a much better dunk, though, how you're all explaining basic respect to this guy like he's 5. I know. I'm like, yeah, it's called being a decent fucking human being. Like, oh man, that was funny. The stream feels like an apple, just bit right into it. Your streams are more like oranges. You gotta peel it back before biting into it. Yeah. Well, you know, the thing is that like these shows, you know, you get a caller, and the goal is to keep the call like under 20 minutes, basically. Like we had a couple of calls that only lasted like 5 minutes, maybe, not very long at all. Because usually this is like an hour and a half long of like taking calls, or they usually have like like a half an hour at the beginning, and then like 1 hour of taking calls, and then they usually switch to super chats for the end of the stream. And yeah, so today we did the warm-up stuff for like 30 minutes or a little bit more than that maybe, and then we jumped on calls, and we stayed on calls for like 2 hours. So it was a lot more involved than usual, because a lot of the time the part that makes the stream longer for them is the super chats part, not the middle part. So somehow, some way, I was able to change two people's minds in an online Facebook thread. What? Oh my god, that's amazing. It does happen occasionally. It happens every once in a while that you make a little bit of progress with somebody. And they always encourage people on Takis to call back later. You know, like, yeah, you know, we need to wrap this up and go ahead and move to the next caller, but you're welcome to come back later and like have these conversations with us some other day. Don't worry about being egotistical. I've called into Takis a couple times and always listened to my segment back to see how I did. My voice be hella weird. Yeah, this is like, you know, I produce my own voice, and that's not what I sound like. So I don't know. Maybe I will need to talk to Jimmy about his settings, or maybe just like, maybe I'll just need to be really mindful of that and just consider. I don't know. I think that it would be funny if I did regularly show up on Takis and I did that kind of like bro-y sort of like debate bro bullshit. Like that would be very amusing, in my personal opinion. But yeah, I don't necessarily want to have to do voice training like that. I've been trying to avoid it, and now I don't want to have to do it just because someone else's audio settings like misrepresent my voice IMO. But yeah, I'll have to talk to him about that.
Questions that I wouldn't want to make. Like, I think that people.
Hold on, let me take this back.
You understand that it's harmful, and you're choosing to be harmful.
True.
Well, I'd say that there are a lot of concessions that I wouldn't want to make. Like, I think that people are definitely capable of making claims about themselves that aren't true. And I think that language is a conduit. It's our verbal conduit for symbolically denoting like a reality, an underlying reality.
Do you hear all of these Jordan Peterson buzzwords? Like Jordan Peterson buzzwords, rapid fire. That's what that sounded like to me.
So it's
So I'm just sitting there like, look at the face that I just made. I'm like, this is Jordan Peterson. No.
typically been understood historically that he, for example, was a pronoun that related to males. And
That's
so
just an
at
assertion that you're making. Do you have any evidence to back that up?
I mean,
Luxander pulls out the big dick skeptic card. Like he just said this, like this language only ever refers to people's biological reality. And I was like, do you have any evidence for that? Lol.
and what do you qualify as evidence? Virtually any book that I've ever read.
Like
would kind of
historical evidence?
bolster that
Like,
claim.
I could give you historical evidence
Sure,
of
literature is
transgender people
definitely
who were
historical
honored with
evidence.
their correct pronouns in historical contexts. So I can
Sure, I would say
show
that-
and prove demonstrably that this is a social designation. So you're making a claim, and this is a skeptic show. So you have to prove your claim and not just appeal to common sense, which is what you're doing.
Oh, I was annoyed.
Sure, so I
You
could
can
say-
tell I was annoyed. I'd be spicy. I was like, bro, I can't with you right now. Oh, man.
that literary.
Oh, yeah. Katie Montgomery had a weird thing where she was a guest on a radio show, and people thought they deliberately shifted her down, but she was pretty sure it's just the audio settings somewhere. I saw that. It was weird that she was all pitched down. I don't know how that could happen by accident. It's so strange. Yes, thank you, Ela Devine. I thought that I really did a good job this entire stream.
Literary evidence definitely counts as historical evidence in certain instances. For example, authors writing in their specific time period, the kind of language that they use denotes the time period in which they've grown up in and, you know, become acquainted with and things like that. And so any book, I can give you a specific example, Twelfth Night when Shakespeare is referring.
Oh, be good to yourself, Veronica. Don't overdo it. I don't know why the website's being weird for you. I'm sorry about that, but don't drown your sorrows too much, okay? You gotta be careful with your coping mechanisms, but I do hope that you feel a little bit more relaxed. We're just kind of doing something fun right now, and we might do like politics stuff later. Oh, I make that point, Ellet. Yeah, I'm gonna make that point in just a moment. Yeah, you sensed where I was going. My biological pronouns are I fucked / your mom. True. Can I offer that I feel like a good amount of transphobia comes from the same place as some Americans thinking that others asking for kindness or empathy is an infringement on their rights. Yeah, I don't owe you kindness. Like, nobody owes you a kind and fair world. I'm just gonna be a rude dickhead. Like, man, it's fucking stupid. But yeah. I got my biological pronouns tested. They were in Aramaic, and when I got them, when I read them, I got a headache and a nosebleed and heard this weird ringing sound. I hope the ringing sound has gone away, because as someone who has a ringing sound in my ears, it's kind of annoying.
Referring to who's the
Hold on.
any book, I can give you a specific example. Twelfth Night, when Shakespeare is referring to who's the main character. I can't remember. Malvolio.
What do you think about the fact that he used to be the universal pronoun applying to all human beings?
Sorry?
To each his own. Like, to each his own, or the Star Trek. What do they say at Star Trek at the beginning of the show? Like, for all mankind. What do you think about the fact that historically he, him, and mankind are terms that have been used in a gender-neutral, applicable to all human beings kind of way?
Well, I think that, I don't know if I have any opinion on it in particular. I know that there are some languages where the word woman is actually derivative of the word man. And so I think in that sense, it might be logically consistent, though I don't have any qualms about anything, I don't really have an opinion on it necessarily. I just don't.
I want to
think
push
that
back a little bit on this use of literature as a form of history. You're saying that so what, when people use he to refer to a man in the past, that's evidence that it's about sex and biology? Yeah, or is that just that, as Lux pointed out, this is like a social denotation? I don't think anyone's checking out their genitals or taking chromosome tests in Shakespeare's time. I think they probably just use social denotations.
I would say that even that suggestion is kind of anachronistic. I don't think that typically that level of evidence.
I forget what the word anachronistic means, because usually every time I think about the word anachronistic, my brain just turns off. It just slides right off, because it's like such a pretentious word that I just can't retain the information. I cannot retain it. Anachronistic is our out of place and time, fitting into the wrong time period. Okay. Language doesn't have to define how we think. I mean, yeah. No, listen, he is a Jordan Peterson man, 100,000,000% for sure.
They probably just use social denotations.
I would say that even that suggestion is kind of anachronistic. I don't think that typically that level of evidence was required until very, very recent history, where people can do things that made their sexual representation.
And you know what else?
More
ambiguous. In the past, we didn't require a lot of evidence to demonstrate the shape of the earth, but as we gain new information and new understanding, our standards of evidence get higher so that we can comport with reality.
What is the evidence? I'm asking what.
My face is so red. Look at how red my face is right now. I was flushed. I was irritated.
Please, the evidence. And if I don't accept your claim as true, should I be forced?
What is the evidence for what?
So that the claim that if I could say right now that I'm a woman, and I would expect other people to accept that claim about my identity, what is the evidence that is a true claim? And if I could follow
so Gabriel, what you're getting at is this thing. We've talked about this on the show so many times. Can people lie? Yes.
Yeah, we eventually confirmed that it's flat. You silly Billy Squiddy.
Human beings are capable of lying. If I sit next to someone on the bus and I say, "Hey, what's your name?" and they say, "Oh, I'm Sally, I'm a teacher," I go, "Well, how do you prove to me that you're a teacher? Should I be allowed to refer to you as a teacher because you haven't demonstrated to me that you're a teacher? No, I accept and I know that they could be lying, but as a reasonable, not insane person, I just go, okay, this is Sally, she's a teacher. And I don't think any bit deeper about it because it's not necessary or appropriate. And when the evidence is showing that, so first of all, the only reasonable way that people can express their gender to you, convey their gender to you, is by telling you. There's no like genetic test that's going to tell you, yes, this person has the male gene. And so when somebody's telling you they're a man, sure, they could be lying, hypothetically, but what costs it to you to say, this person is a man, they've told me they're a man, they could be lying, but what reason do I have to disbelieve them?
Sure. Sometimes there are actual reasons. So if I were to,
like what?
This has happened, sure, I'll give you them. And just a bit of context. It's like I live in Canada, and so the social repercussions for not, acquiescing to this ideology are a lot. I think are different than in U.S.
Am I weird? Because I think that this is so fun. I'm just like, wow, this is a great time. I'm like, I really enjoyed this when I was doing it, and now I'm like, yeah, this is fun to listen to. Yeah, does this guy ask to see random people's genitals to make sure they are the gender he says they are? I think that all of his positions are coming down to the idea that, like, you can basically always tell whether someone is trans. Like, I think that part of where he's coming from is that, like, it's pretty much always visibly obvious. Yeah, Canada, he's a Peterson fan. I know. No, he brings up C16 later. He brings it up later, obliquely at least. And, yeah, so I think that he just thinks, I can always tell, therefore I'm not going to honor your pronouns if I think I can always determine what your actual biological sex is. Like, if they look at a non-binary person and they think that they know whether that person was born male or female based on their appearance, they're like, well, I can just tell, and so it's common sense. He's just appealing to that, it's so obvious, and like, you're asking me to do something that's against the obvious reality. I started carrying a non-binary flag in my pants, so if someone says my gender is in my pants, I can just pull it out. That's amazing.
But so I've had actually encounters where people who have requested that I call them specific pronouns, and
Arden is so irritated.
Like, I would usually refer to them as their name because I didn't want to start any trouble or whatever. But like,
I'm laughing because that's so passive aggressive. Like, I'm just like, wow, what a dick.
That there's evidence. Like, I know that biological women typically, generally, express certain secondary sexual characteristics. Like, generally, and it's like the vast majority of the time. There are always outliers, but they don't disprove the rule. And
your measure of whether or not someone is being honest about their gender is how prominent their sexual secondary sex characteristics are. Like, do you see how ridiculous that is? If you're being consistent, if you're being actually consistent about this, people could be lying about their gender, so I'm not going to gender them correctly, you would be skeptical about literally everyone, because the fact is you can't always tell. Trans people pass all the time, not every situation, but all the time. And so your basis for whether or not you're critical of someone's gender is literally, as you just pointed out, whether or not they have tits. Like, do you realize how stupid that is?
That's not true. I think that's an.
That's literally what you just said, though.
And then what I'll do is I will clarify what
He's gonna clarify.
Saying. There are
this guy he messaged me on Twitter afterwards, so we will talk about that in a bit. We'll talk about that.
Instances where people can make a claim about themselves, and the claim is so mundane that I might not care to inquire about it further. But for example, if I was thankfully I'm already married and I don't have to do this vetting process, but if I were to ask out someone whom I thought was a woman, nowadays I would ask, are you an actual biological woman?
Gender isn't mundane. Like, is that not like a mundane aspect of our lives?
Before going out, or before even ask,
God, thank goodness you do that. So that 99% of people can realize you are unwell and not go out on a date with you.
I have a question for you, Gabriel. Do you reject historical evidence?
Do I reject?
Like, if I could give you multiple examples of transgender individuals who existed in a time before we had access to medical care, as you pointed out, that there is some question nowadays about like biological changes, and you think it would have been more obvious back then. If I showed you evidence of, for example, like a transgender man who was born female and did not have access to testosterone and convincingly went through his entire life without being gendered female and was posthumously discovered to be female, and he used he, him pronouns his entire life, and everyone who knew him as a man, do you think that that is sufficient evidence to indicate that in actuality, every instance of referring to someone's pronouns, or perhaps not every, but let's say in some instances, pronouns can be referring to a social reality and not just the underlying biological reality, which you seem to think is the most important factor?
So can I repeat the question? Or
I'm just like, so I was like laser sight on that. I'm just, oh man. It's crazy how being a professional communicator makes you good at communicating. Like I've been doing this for like over a year now, and I'm getting pretty solid at it. So yeah, why are these weirdos so obsessed with the genitalia of strangers? It's fucking crazy. Why don't you respect pronouns? What if I want to fuck that person? Ever think of that? Yeah, it's the concerns that these cis men have. Or like, what if I accidentally feel like I want to put my penis there, and like that's bad actually. Yeah, I don't know. This was fun. This was a fun show. I love the phrase social reality. Our language and interpretations of each other all exist in the social world we create. Yeah, like just there is something actually real happening here. Anyway, let's continue.
Just so I can know that I'm understanding. Like,
Steel man it. Go for it, brother. Do it.
Okay, because I'm sure I've forgotten some things. So you're saying somebody who's functionally lived their life in the past, or in a historical example, as a man, but was discovered posthumously to have been a biological female.
Yep.
And the question was what exactly? Like that was the.
So my question is, do you recognize that there are instances, and like that those instances are significant enough to sway perhaps this absolute, where you believe that historically, like the argument that you presented to me at the beginning of this show was that, you know, pronouns traditionally refer to biological reality. You're invoking this traditionalist value of, you know, typically we do it this way, so we shouldn't do it different in the future. But I'm telling you that there are instances where there are transgender individuals who have been referred to by their preferred pronouns, as we would call it in today's age. And some of them, oh man, I don't know if you've heard of this guy, Arden. He used to like threaten people with a gun who would misgender him. So that was like a non-passing trans man, I guess. But there are individuals who passed completely as their preferred gender, and they were treated with the corresponding pronouns and social roles, understood to be husbands instead of wives, like all that. Do you recognize that as legitimate and like a sufficient form of evidence in this discussion?
It depends what you mean by legitimate. If you're saying, is that a historical example? Perhaps.
Yeah, because you're invoking history. You're invoking the traditionalist way we do this. And so I'm telling you that you're wrong. And that like
so
this historically is not only biological.
Transgender? So are you saying, is your claim that they identified as transgender, or that they looked as though they were the opposite sex their whole life and everyone treated? Because those are two very different
things. They lived their life as a trans, like you would call it transgender now. You would say transgender now. Those terminologies didn't exist in the past. We're just talking about someone who was, let's stick with this one example, someone who was born female, a little girl, and then they decided, like, actually, I'm going to live my entire life as a boy and then grow up and be a man and have a string of relationships with women, and be a playboy and shoot guns in the Wild West just like a cowboy would. Like, we're understanding this person to have lived their entire life as male and to have not wanted people to discover themselves to be female. Like, nobody knew until after they were dead because they didn't tell anybody.
Okay, sure. Now, if I can make the concession for the sake of the argument that might be a historical example.
For the sake of the argument, I could make the concession, but oh my god, dude. Oh, this is just so funny. Like, the worst part of this show was that normally when I do a stream, when I do something like this, like, a lot of the time I can like mute myself and like make bullshit commentary to you guys, or like mute myself and laugh really loud, but I did not have power over my own microphone in this show. So yeah. Oh man. Oh, it was so funny though. This guy was very, 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 very funny.
There are other things that I'd like to know. For example, is this how widely socially acceptable was this? Like, I know that there are some things that I actually consider are problematic by way of how LGBT people have been treated in the past, and by my understanding.
Yeah, Violet, was that you who called in? I saw a Violet typing in chat, and I recognized your like way of typing because you use a semicolon a lot. Was that you on the call? Because there was another Violet from Vancouver who called in at one point. This man's pronouns are maybe/could. Oh my god, true.
History is that these types of things were not widely acceptable, for one. Secondly, even if there is a historical example, I'm not entirely convinced that it's ethical. So, for example, if somebody were to say, like in Canada, where there are social repercussions for, and I've worked in school systems, if I didn't want to address a student by their preferred pronouns, I could get fired for it, even though I have religious
The literal Jordan Peterson.
beliefs. And so it's like, Arden, you were talking about
Good.
bodily, like autonomy. You were talking about, yeah, okay.
Oh,
You were
nice. It
talking
was
about
great to talk to
autonomy.
you.
It's like, at what point does somebody else's beliefs about themselves mandate or what would you call it? Surpass
Yeah.
my beliefs about my religion and how I
Harassment
should talk.
is the line.
Yeah, literally, because you misgendering them literally negatively impacts, this is evidence-based, their quality of life, right? So your religious belief is impacting them. You gendering them, you get to go home at the end of the day and say, man, I gendered that person, they, them all day, but I think that's a fucking girl. You can do that. That's not infringing on
I
your
could say
rights.
the same about your
But you
beliefs.
misgendering them all day does impact their quality of life and their rights.
I could say the same about your beliefs. If I have a daughter in the future or my wife,
What beliefs? What beliefs?
it might. Man, okay, like if I might end up losing my job because I don't want to address somebody a certain way,
Yeah,
or
you don't want to
if my
harass them in the
daughter,
workplace.
or if my daughter has to use a bathroom with biological men, or if my daughter would like to compete in sports, but they're a
Okay,
biological man.
so what you're
Like,
saying
those-
is,
Yes, Gallop.
yeah. So you're saying that
I love one of my favorite things about this show was like I just called people out. Like I'm like, oh well, that's a Gish Gallop, so I'm just gonna say it out loud. Like everyone's thinking it, I'm just saying it. Gish Gallop. Oh man, how would he like being called she, regardless of his objections? I tried to explain that would be harassment, and he didn't fucking get it because he thinks that it's like, okay, well, yeah, that would be a clear instance of harassment because I am actually a biological male. And so if you call me she, then that's not only harassment, but it's actually physically, ethically wrong. It's like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I also, like, yeah, there is the argument to be made about, like, religious beliefs, like, should not trump other types of beliefs, and I don't know why they use this argument. I don't even think Jordan Peterson uses that argument. I think this guy, Gabriel, has realized that the Jordan Peterson argument about, you know, I just morally object is not a good enough argument. You have to shroud your disgust towards trans people in a religious excuse in order to justify it, like, as a protected belief, and like try to weasel out of having to follow the law by claiming to have some kind of religious exemption. Yeah, exactly. If you try to say it's not ethical, then you're going to need to tell me where the harm is. I guess it's like an ontological harm against the concept of truth to these people. I know Gabriel's such a dumb fuck. If they just owned up to it's icky, they'd still be bad, but at least they'd be honest. Right. They can't even be honest with themselves, I don't think, because then they would have to acknowledge that they're transphobic. Yeah, truth got a boo-boo. Oh no, truth got a boo-boo. By the way, if you're enjoying hanging out, or even if you're not enjoying hanging out and you're about to leave, drop a like before you go. We appreciate it. It's always free and it's helpful, and we will probably talk about other more serious things momentarily. We only have like 5 more minutes of this call left, and we're not going to go over the whole show. I just wanted to go over this one call because I had such a fun time with it. Who would win? Thousands of years of evidence of trans people and all the peer-reviewed science and medical and scientific consensus, or a 2,000-year-old tertiary sourced magic book? Good grief. Anyway, let's continue and finish this.
Belief that your irrational fear about a trans woman assaulting your daughter shouldn't impact whether or not trans women can use the restroom. That's impeding your rights. That's what you're saying?
I think we both picked up on the Jordan Peterson vibes early in the conversation, and so Arden and I are both like not very patient with this guy. Oh god, yeah, the hypothetical daughter. Oh geez.
I'm saying that there might be an interplay between professed beliefs impeding on other people's ways of life.
Sure. Yeah,
Sure.
Your way of life.
It can affect
If
both
your way
sides.
of life is you shouldn't be allowed to use the public restroom because I have an irrational fear that you're going to assault my daughter, which is completely unfounded, then yes, I'm willing to infringe on your irrational fear that does nothing to you, by the way, to infringe upon, in place of your fear being legislated, which actually impacts my quality of life and my ability to go out and live as an American citizen.
Sure, then I'd say at least that's consistent. And I would say the same, like I would be willing to infringe on, I guess, LGBT rights. I don't consider them rights, but
I didn't break in there, but I wanted to be like, it doesn't matter if you consider it rights or not. Your own government passed the law. You have the right to have your pronouns honored in professional situations, you know? Oh, Veronica, be good to yourself. Drink some water. Be good.
Requests that people address them certain ways. I don't think it's true, and I think until it's proved to be true, then we should stick to the historical standard. I also think that because there are
what is proof to you? What proof to be true? Prove what to be true?
So, for example, if I were to claim right now that I was a monkey, and I say that I felt my whole life like I was one, how on earth do I begin to prove that? How could I?
Oh, I laughed. I was smiling at this because the monkey thing, that came straight from Ricky Gervais. Like, did anybody else get that vibe? Like, this is straight up Ricky Gervais. Like, he did a comedy special where he did a whole bit about Caitlyn Jenner, and like, I identify as a chimpanzee. It was pretty fucking dumb. Yeah, be good, Veronica. Hope your girlfriend keeps you out of trouble. He goes back to the historical standard that he conceded disagrees with him. Oh gosh, it was a ridiculous conversation.
Prove that I feel like I am something which I'm not biologically disposed to share any of the same experiences. Where are some biological indicators that the claim that you're making is correct?
As a different species, something which has never been demonstrated, something on which there is literally no literature, and comparing that to trans people telling you, I am a woman, which is a phenomenon that has been documented through human history, that we actually have evidence that affirming those identities is better for their quality of life, and that denying their identities negatively impacts their quality of life. So those are the two things you're comparing, just to set the scene for the rest of your
very recently.
Just to set the scene for the rest of your point. Yo, Arden is serving some very bitchy energy, and I love it. It's so good.
Up until very recently, by the way, the claim that you're making was classified as a mental disorder. Oh, just so you know.
So is being gay, my dude.
Why do you keep appealing to history? There's lots of things people believed in the past that we showed were wrong because evidence.
And I don't think that your community has presented sufficient evidence as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, so actually what's going on here is that you stand in opposition to virtually every major medical organization, at least within the United States. So they have lots of
no, that's actually not true, Hila. Gender is a social construct and speciation isn't. Speciation is still a social construct because, you know, one of the defining features of speciation that we use to differentiate is like whether they can mutually breed. However, we have plenty of evidence of individuals within a species being unable to breed with one another because they are just genetically different enough that they can't reproduce with one another. Like, two human beings who are both fertile can be in an infertile relationship because they just don't interact that way. And we do have some instances of cross-species breeding. Now, the question of that is like whether those offspring are going to be fecund themselves, like whether they will be able to breed. But yeah, even speciation is predicated on a snapshot of what animal life is like across about I don't know, let's say 80 years, like an 80-year snapshot of what animals and species are like, because that's how long human beings live, is the joke that I'm making. Like, you just take a little picture and you can see a certain amount of change happening here. And so in a specific chunk of time, you know, yeah, these species have these traits. Yeah, the species as a concept is fraught. Right. Even this is a sliding scale of, and like a spectrum. Yeah, horses and donkeys. Yeah, exactly. Oh my god, excuse me. Okay, one more. There we go. Let's keep going.
Experience as medical professionals and empirical evidence supporting their claims. What do you have? What if you're challenging the experts on this as a non-expert who has not conducted research in the field? Please tell me what evidence.
I'm like, she's so mad. Look at me, I'm smiling. I'm like, she's so mad.
That undermines the agreed upon position by all of these medical organizations.
Sure, there are some physicians, or there are some psychiatrists like Dr. Miriam Grossman, who I defer to on this matter.
I don't give a fuck what one random individual said. We're talking about a body of evidence. Okay, look, we agree, right, that gravity is something that is noticed and demonstrated and agreed upon by most scientists, right? Do we agree on that?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So if one person, one medical professional, let's say 100 medical professionals come out and say, actually, I don't think gravity is real, and they have no papers, no empirical data to support their position that the theory of gravity is not true, should we take their word for it just because they say so, or just because they're scientists who disagree with the consensus?
I'm not advocating to take their word. First, I would say you're making an argument from authority right now.
Nope,
like
that's untrue. That's not what an argument from authority is. That's not what it's like.
Arden is so mad. Like, she gets so mad at that.
Called peer review, man.
Actually, I'm going to mute you, Gabriel, because I get this all the time, and I'm ready to break it fucking down, man. An argument from authority is when I say, this is true because this person said it's true. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that these organizations and the professionals within them have collected evidence over time, and it is my non-researcher based opinion that the evidence that they've collected, that they've agreed upon, that I've looked into some of, is compelling enough for me to accept their claim. I'm not saying it's true because they said so. I am saying I am not a professional who has the time to go into all the research on diabetes, but I accept that the medical professionals who have done the research that is accepted by major medical organizations is sufficient for me to accept that their evidence must be compelling. That is not the argument from authority. Those are different things. You're unmuted now.
Sure. So let me ask, what is some of their evidence that you feel compelled to accept? Evidence
do you want me to pull out every fucking study right now, bro?
No, not all of it. Just give me something. Just give me some, if you have it.
I've already talked about this multiple times, Gabriel.
No, you didn't.
You are weaponizing your incompetence right now. You can Google this, my dude. It is readily available. All the information is there. You are fully capable of typing into Google studies about gender dysphoria or like studies about gender affirmation. The statistics are there. This is a waste of time. It's called jacking off. You're just asking questions about shit that you could go Google yourself. You understand that?
Okay, look.
Gabriel, we're going to let you go. Gabriel, we're going to let you go because, as Lux just pointed out, this is no longer productive. I don't think you're actually honestly really interested in coming to an understanding on this point. You just want to undermine. Gabriel, shut up. You just want to undermine the fact that Gabriel, you're muted. Oh, and also you're banned because we don't do that fucking word on this show. So get fucked, you piece of shit.
He dropped the R slur right there at the end. And like, I didn't even hear it because she was talking over him and I mostly heard her. Yeah, he said, you're being ridiculous, and then he said, you're being retarded, and I was like, I didn't realize until afterward. I'm like, oh, okay, so it was an R word that he got banned for. But yeah, that was, I mean...
second of all,
I'll let Arden finish.
We don't have every study on hand, because I'm not a fucking researcher. This is not my job to research trans studies, but again... Every major medical organization, like the American Psychiatric Association, the American, I don't have the fucking list on hand. They've all compiled all of the evidences that support gender affirming care. Because I don't have that on hand. You think we don't have anything? Yeah, you can use Google and get fucked and never come back to the show, you actual piece of garbage.
I think she wanted to ban him because he was annoying, and the R slur was just like the easy excuse to do it. But yeah, no, that was a really fun time. You know, I was on the show total for like about 3 hours, a little bit more than 3 hours. Yeah, Arden was a lot of fun. We had several like chill, good conversations, and those were really nice. None of the calls were really duds today. There was one that I really wasn't sure how to give advice on it, but yeah, I mean, overall, extremely enjoyable time. Very much could do that again. I would love it if I was like a coveted guest spot. If there were, I would love it if I went on the line just infrequently enough to be like, to have people who specifically want to call in and talk to me. That would be fucking hilarious. Oh man. I would definitely do this on a regular basis. It threw me off my Thursday, though, and I also didn't end up going to the gym today, which was a fucking huge bummer. But also, I hurt my back earlier this week, so it's probably a good thing to just, like, try to take it a little bit easy, and maybe I'll get back into it next week. But, oh, boy. Boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. That was a very good time. So, if you liked that, I might be on the line more often. And, yeah, I could definitely see it being a thing where I'm the first non-binary host? What? Okay, listen. I really hate the time slot that they've chosen, but I can go to the gym earlier. You know, I usually don't go until like late afternoon, but I can go earlier and do this on a regular basis and be like, I could be a regular host on this show. Listen, if I could get paid to be on this show just a tiny bit, so that it's not like 3 hours of me basically streaming but not getting any donos, that would be awesome. I want to be the weekly villain. Not every week. I don't want to be on there every week, because I do want to just have my Thursday show normally. I do think that because scientists say so can be an appeal to authority, it requires additional points to substantiate that science is the best method to find that truth. Yeah, well, we're on a skeptic show, so it's kind of a given in any discussion that we're having here that science and the scientific method is the kind of driving purpose behind what we're doing. Like, that's the thing about the line, is that it is sourced in that whole like skeptic atheist community stuff. It's not literally, mama, exactly. I'm not doing an appeal to authority. I'm doing an appeal to the scientific method. I'm making an appeal to peer review. That's like, it's not the same as just appealing to like, well, we see when those guys say there's several doctors who disagree with this, those people are using an appeal to authority fallacy. Those people are saying like, well, because this person is a doctor, therefore what this individual doctor has to say about trans affirming care is valid and important. And when we are not appealing to an independent, like individual authority figure, we are appealing to the entire process of peer review and collated information. Yeah, that was a deeply frustrating conversation. And the next conversation we had right after this, I was like, I can't even focus on this guy. Like, I like this person. I was like, I have no idea what to even say to this. My brain was just like, my facial expression right here, I'm like, my brain is not good. Oh boy. I'm gonna have to get some more water here in a minute. I realized that my when my air kicks on, it's super fucking loud. So I might have to do a thing where like I try to make it like colder than I actually want it to be, and then turn off my air conditioning during stream. At least that's what I'm trying today, because it's like so loud. I don't know what to do. Silver schmid chimps and bonobos can probably breed, but there is a stupid river in the way cock-blocking them. Wait, what is a narluga? A narluga? A narwhal and a beluga whale? Narluga. Interesting. It's a hybrid of a narwhal and a beluga. It's got a weird body shape. A mating female narwhal and a male beluga whale. Okay. Are those, can they have babies? He literally tried to pull an actual appeal to authority by cherry picking a doctor he agrees with that goes against the medical consensus. Yeah, it did not occur to me until just now doing the debate review that he was in fact doing an appeal to authority, but now I know I can recognize that in the future now. That's the benefit of doing debate reviews, is being like, okay, I should have said this, I didn't say that, and like you have to draw the connections between stuff so that in the future you're like, oh wait. The last time I thought about this, I also realized that you're doing the opposite or whatever. Baby Narluga. Exactly. Every accusation is a confession. These bitches be confessing. We had a freeze warning last night, and now most of the state is at a high fire risk. Fucking climate change. Yeah. It's dry, I bet. If you had a freeze warning last night, I bet it's dry AF. Just wait, though. The negative of learning logical fallacies, etc., is being infuriated constantly. No! Listen, the corpse candy, this is I've tried to talk about this on stream a couple of times before. The fundamental problem that I have with everybody else in my life with regards to COVID, with regards to trans people, with regards to climate change, is that I'm a skeptic underneath everything else. Underneath everything, the fundamental, like, worldview that I possess is one that is driven toward, you know, trying my best to seek out the evidence on stuff. And when studies aren't being done, then I'm trying to seek out information and understand it myself to the extent that I can. And, like, you know, looking at individual kind of study results, even if they haven't yet been collated into a broader thing, like, this is why I can't deal with other people anymore. And, like, this is why I appreciated so much when we watched H3H3's podcast going against Ollie London, is that they brought the evidence. Like, every fucking claim that there was evidence to back it up or shoot it down, depending on where the point was coming from, you know? So, yeah, that is the fundamental thing that I can't get over. This is why I'm so pissed off at everybody else who can't get on board with COVID precautions, because I do care about the evidence and everybody else seems to just not care. Today we had an air quality warning, lots of ozone apparently. I've never seen one of those before. Lots of ozone? Is lots of ozone a bad thing? I know that not enough ozone is a bad thing. I guess I don't really understand what ozone is or what it does. But yeah, no. Understanding how illogical people are being is deeply frustrating. And seeing the gaps, like, that's part of what made the kind of that last part of the conversation with Gabriel so poignant and fun, I guess, is like, you know, I just pointed out, like, oh, you're gish galloping. And then I pointed out, like, you realize that you could be looking this shit up yourself. You are weaponizing your incompetence to waste our time because you could Google this yourself. Like, you could educate yourself, but you're wasting our time asking us to do the work for you. Like, do you recognize what you're doing? And then Arden decided to cancel the call because fundamentally the thing that I want is for people to, I want to, like, it's like taking their shit and forcing their face into it, you know? It's like, I really want them to see what it is that they're doing. So that, you know, that's the kind of argument that I make. Like, that's the kind of person that I am, is I just try to, like, shove your face in it and go, like, do you see what you're doing? Like, this is the shit that you're doing. Ozone layer is good. Breathing ozone equals bad. Don't try to eat your blanket. Fair enough. Ozone, when it's on the surface, is smog. Okay. So ozone is necessary in the upper atmosphere, but very toxic to us in the lower. Ooh, no. Fossil fuel emissions, usually from vehicles, mixed with sunlight, can create ozone warnings. So you had a smog warning, basically. That's not great. But hey, get your fucking N95s. That should help a little bit. Goodness gracious. Ozone is transparent. I think it's associated with smog, but you can't see it. Yeah, but like an air quality warning in that same... Yeah, I'm gonna go invest in some canned air. We have fun, you know? We have a little bit of fun. Okay, I don't need this open anymore. Christmas! Oh man, I am a yawning boy. I'm getting some links together for the Florida segment for today. That's like the one serious thing going on. Oh my goodness. Gotta be careful with Twitter. What is this? Is the canned air thing like a Spaceballs reference? Or is it like multiple different franchises have the same kind of thing? Where's Lake Nona? Okay, I got like so many articles. The only thing that sucks about doing a segment that... Oh my god, please fucking leave me alone, dude. The only thing about doing a segment that's like a bunch of different Florida news all together is that it's hard to decide what to title the stream. Or the video. Like, if I put together one video that was, like, all... There's gonna be, like, 4 different fucking, Florida things today. Florida, again. Right. I literally have an entire playlist on the channel that's just Florida. I actually need to make a more general playlist for all of the anti-trans laws that we've been covering, but we cover Florida so often that I gave it its own playlist. It's called, like, the Fascism Nexus or something. Because I called Florida the nexus of fascism at the beginning intro part of one of my segments recently. Florida again. I like how Florida is just one thing that's happening now. It's no longer stuff in Florida. Like, just what's going on? Florida. I see. The O'Hare canned air is a Lorax movie reference. Oh, I never saw the Lorax movie. John Get Bent, thank you so much for the $6 dono. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much. It's definitely... I think that I need to double check what my rest of the month looks like with my finances, because it's not... It's like going okay, but it's going okay because I have so much GoFundMe money, and that needs to go into my paying off my debt from taxes. Where do you get this awesome shirt? I bought this shirt from Rebecca Watson years ago. Does Rebecca Watson still have a store? Rebecca Watson store? Does she still have the store? Depop? Well, nope, that's not it. I don't know. I'll have to look it up and figure it out. But I bought it because it's like just atheist community stuff. You know what I mean? Rebecca Watson. Excuse me. Do you have a fucking link to a store? I don't know. I bought it like more than 10 years ago. You said Gabriel DM'd you. Yeah, he DM'd me and said, where was it? He said, hello, I was on the line earlier and you mentioned you have historical examples of trans folks. Could you let me know where I might find them? And I was really irritated at the fact that he asked me to Google something for him. Like, after, like, that was the way that our conversation ended, was me saying, hey, you could fucking Google this yourself. And he instead asked me to Google it for him. So I was a little annoyed. So what I sent him I just sent him 4 Wikipedia links. The first link was to Dr. James Barry's page. He was a surgeon. And then I sent him Dora Richter and like her Wikipedia page. She was a woman who received a vaginoplasty, and she probably died the night that the Hirschfeld Institute for Sexual Study was raided. And then I sent him the Wikipedia page to the Institute for Sexual Study in Weimar, Germany. And then I sent him the general Wikipedia page for transgender history. So I was kind of serving cunt for that part. And then he just said, thanks. And that's like the extent of the conversation. Like, I really don't want to talk to him at all. But I was basically just like, here's 2 specific individual people for you to look at, and then here's like how your beliefs are similar to the Nazi beliefs, and then here's like a general transgender history, like, which is basically my way of telling you to go fucking Google it yourself. Yeah, I could have sent him a let me Google that for you link, right? Should have sent him the Wikipedia page for laziness. But I didn't want him to claim, like, you know, I tried to do my due diligence and you didn't even respond. Like, okay, well, there you go. There's 4 links. That's just start you off. Now leave me alone is kind of what I wanted to accomplish there. And it didn't take me very long. And that's the other thing. Because here's the thing. I understand that if you're a Jordan Peterson fan, your Google search results algorithm is going to be a little bit fucky. And so maybe if you were to type in something like historical transgender figures, you would see some other shit that isn't what you were actually looking for. So I was like, okay, I will share the gift of my knowledge. Instead of just Googling historical trans figures, I was able to be like Dr. James Miranda Barry and like Dora Richter and get those clear examples just out there. And then the more general, like, okay, now you need to like educate yourself on this more broadly. We stand our 6,500-year-old Scythian priestesses boiling pregnant horse urine for HRT and castrating themselves. Honestly, metal as fuck. True. I mean, they are wonderful ancestors. It's so good to have our piss-loving ancestors still. So many trans girls actually have a piss kink, and it's really weird to me. It's quite strange. Good grief. But yeah, oh god. We gotta get some links together. Rebecca, do you have any links to your store? Yeah, I don't know. Is there a tag in this shirt that tells like where it came from? Or is it like tagless? I can't see it. I'm sorry. I don't get it either. This gal I see sometimes drops that one on me and I'm like, oh no. They sell canned air in Walgreens in Florida. Well, when you buy compressed air, it's usually like a dust stuff, like so that you can like pressurized air blow out the dust from your computer or something like that. So you can buy canned air, but it's under pressure. You could also just get an air compressor and accomplish the same goal. Okay, there's one Florida story. Okay, we're getting some links together. I'm trying to get some links together. They have oxygen-rich pressurized air at the hardware store. Me for breathing, not cleaning. Oh my god, why? Why? Canned air. Wow, that is like super Spaceballs to me. It's called Boost Oxygen. But so they're selling it with other stuff in it, yeah? Like they're pretending like it's a holistic kind of product. Like in the sense that they're trying to pretend it's medicine, yeah? Okay, we have some bills to read today. Big Florida segment. Big Florida segment. I'm getting things organized, y'all. I'm such a sleepy boy. Gee, mini Christmas. I imagine it would be for situations where you are in a space you can't breathe super well. Yeah, I mean, you're giving it like a practical understanding, and what I think is happening is that it is just it's kind of like a pretend wellness product, you know? Like, I think that what it actually is it's like selling vitamins that don't really have anything in them, you know? Okay. Woo! I thought you could get your O2 up if you were in some fumes you weren't supposed to be. Maybe. Yeah, I think it's mostly a scam. Spider is picking up what I'm putting down. Okay. I'm almost done getting my links together. The only thing I'm missing now is nurse practitioners can't give hormones. Oh wait, no. I need the wait, where's the bathroom bill thing? Did I not have a link to the bathroom bill thing? That's a possibility. Oh my gosh, what's up, Hellhound? Yeah. You're late. Get out of here. I'm about to shoot some estrogen into my leg. Do you do estrogen twice a week, Mama? Because it seems like you do that really often. Or am I just really bad at doing my shot on a weekly basis? I mean, yes, that's true. There are circumstances where it could work and be useful, but it is not marketed to people who work near fumes. Yeah, I think it's it's a fake product. Link, you mean that Voe over there? Listen. She's serving Vi, okay? Silent Partner, thank you so much for the $20 dono. I really appreciate that. Much love to the lurkers out there. Much love to the lurkers. We appreciate you. Hell yes, that brings us up to 41. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm trying to maintain some faith in humanity. It's not working. Oh, God, I know. Okay, I need a bathroom one. Florida bathrooms. Yeah, you still had faith in you guys had faith in humanity? That one meme. I'm losing faith in humanity. Like, you guys still had faith in humanity? Ooh, whatever floats your boat. I'm not gonna give you a repeat on that because technically speaking, I don't think I can endorse such behavior, but also you know, good on you. Let's see. Oh boy. That's from yesterday. This is from yesterday. Yeah, because Ron DeSantis signed 4 bills like yesterday. And then this is bathrooms. Does this also... Okay, I live a sheltered life. Ooh. Okay, this... Don't say gay. Drag performances. Limits classroom instruction. Banning medical care for trans youths. Does this even include the bathroom thing? Measure will give Florida courts temporary jurisdiction over a child that has been subjected to... Yeah. Speaking before AMA... Bathrooms. Does this have bathrooms in it? Okay, so this one... This article doesn't even go into the bathroom aspect of it, but... Whoa. There's just so much bad shit. I'd rather he fuck 4 bills, right? I might have to grab some water before I get started on this little segment. For the channel. For the channel. We need the segment for the channel. The segment und the channel. Okay. Okay. Does this go into any detail about the bathrooms thing? See, even the stories that I'm trying to read about this they talk about like all the different things that he's doing. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. I'm trying to like get I want to get the information about the fucking bathroom thing specifically. Okay. 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 Yes. I think that I guess this will cover it. It doesn't really say what the punishment is. Like, this is the thing that I think distinguishes this bill from Florida and, like, makes it worse than the one in Kansas, even though the one in Kansas is more sweeping than the one in Florida. I wonder, like... Oh my god, it's so fucking warm in here. The punishment is so murky. Yeah, like, in the Kansas one, there was no specific law outlawed, like, outlined in the law. So, like, what is it? Like, are people expecting to actually get arrested in Florida? Because there wasn't any actual, you can be charged with a crime in the Kansas version of this law. So, oh my god. Can you please leave me alone? Whoops. Trying to get access to the articles. Give me the articles, please. Why is it so hard to read the articles? Okay. This is fucking dumb, y'all. Like, Washington Post, why are you making your shit inaccessible to me to read? We do a little research segment. Okay. Democrats fought the bill. Where's the dignity? Again, this just immediately swerves into talking about other things. Okay, I fucking found something that talks about what the charges actually are going to be. Okay, great. Now I have all the links together to do a gigantic Florida segment. I don't get why any news orgs are paywalling their news anymore. You know, the Daily Beast is always going to be free, and Tucker Carlson is going to make his show free on Twitter. So there's like no attempt to subvert that. I guess what I'm doing is kind of an attempt to subvert that, because I provide like a free show where we talk about all this news. But man, it's, yeah. Like, just fucking deal with the advertisement stuff, you know? It's just gonna, that's just how the internet is. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe we should just make news and have it not be for profit. Jesus fucking Christ. Good Lord. Okay, I'm gonna get some water and get ready to start up these segments. Wow. You know, here's the thing, is I think that I need to, like, maybe I need to front load some of the content in the streams, because if we do something silly and bullshit like we did earlier, it really fucks up the stream for the entire stream if we don't get very many viewers in that first bit, or if people drop off quite a bit because we're doing something that folks aren't interested in, or if it's not matching the title of the stream closely enough. So, Majority Report makes their news free and their internet drama paywall. That's the correct model, IMO. Yeah, actual news is free. If you want to know about the drama mongering, yeah, that's behind the paywall. You gotta cough up for that. All right, I'll be back momentarily. All right, y'all. We're ready to talk about Florida again. If you have not yet hit like really fast. I appreciate you. It's free, and it's quick, and it's easy. Based and piss-pilled. Oh, boy. Finally got my addies. Ooh, yes! Hope that helps you a little bit. Yeah, I'm so forgetful. I did not take Ritalin today at all. God, it's fucking hot. Oh, man. It's so warm in here. We've been talking about Florida so much that Florida has its own playlist on my channel because so many horrendous things are happening, and it's so rapid and it's increasing so much that we have like 4 different things to talk about with regards to Florida today. And so I don't even know what to title this segment. I don't even know what this video is gonna be specific, because like there's so many different things and we're gonna touch on them all and try to like cram it all into one thing, because like frankly otherwise I'm gonna have 4 separate videos about Florida this week on the channel, and I think that it would be a waste of your time to do 4 setups and wrap-ups when we could just string it all together. So join me in not knowing what the hell to do about what's going on in Florida. So this week, as of recording this, DeSantis signed 4 bills into law that basically took down various aspects of trans rights, like just eliminated certain aspects of trans rights. And among them are like a bathroom bill, which the bathroom bill, you know, we've been having this fight on and off for years. And, you know, even Kansas, where I live, just recently passed a bathroom bill, which is obviously very disheartening because I live here. It's one thing when it's happening in Florida. That's far away. I don't live there. It feels like, oh, you know, things probably won't get that bad here. But no, Kansas has a veto-proof supermajority, despite the fact that we have a Democratic governor. So that sucks a huge load of dicks. The bathroom bill in Kansas doesn't actually have any clear language describing a crime being committed. It simply says bathrooms and locker rooms and etc. should all be designated based on your assigned sex at birth. However, like I said, there is no clear punishment in the law. It's not like clearly outlined as a crime with a specified amount of time that you're supposed to be punished. Nothing has been outlined in that regard with the details. In comparison, looking at this law in Florida, this one says that people who enter bathrooms designated for the, quote, opposite sex could face trespassing charges. The bill includes some exceptions for situations involving children under 12 and seniors and people with developmental disabilities. So, like, if you're like a dad who needs to accompany the daughter into the bathroom, like you can accompany your tiny little daughter into the bathroom. Like, that's an acceptable thing to do. So it defines a female as a person belonging at birth to the biological sex, which has the specific reproductive role of producing eggs. They've straight up gone producing large gametes. Like, that's pretty much what they've done here, is produce large gametes. And a male is a person belonging at birth to the biological sex, which has the specific reproductive role of producing sperm. So yeah, I don't know. If you have internal testes but no penis, and like, so there's no way for any sperm that you create to exit your body, does your biological sex actually have the specific reproductive role of producing sperm? Like, you can produce sperm, but you can't deliver it. I don't know. Super, super interesting, those intersex exceptions. So yeah, and this has to do with restrooms in... The bill passed Wednesday would apply to the use of restrooms at facilities such as public schools, colleges, universities, state and local government buildings, prisons, and jails. A previous version of the bill would have also applied to healthcare facilities and businesses such as restaurants, but those places were taken out of the final version. So in that way, this is a less sweeping law than the one in Kansas, because the one in Kansas doesn't make any distinctions. When it says restrooms, it just says restrooms. It doesn't say restrooms within schools. It lists schools separately from the concept of restrooms in general, and it doesn't specify only in public buildings or only in certain places. It says everywhere. But this bill is more actionable. So it is worse, I think, in that sense, that this does actually introduce a crime. And yeah, it does kind of escalate a little bit on previous versions. Like in that, yeah. The law in Kansas is going to be easy to knock down because it's written in such a way that it could apply to like a lot of situations, and that there's not any clear actual, like, you didn't actually create a law but because you didn't create a punishment or anything. Like, you kind of didn't really do anything that wasn't simply symbolic, which obviously is pretty cringe. But that's not the only thing that passed this week. I was trying to look at like articles that were just talking about the gender affirming care ban, but all of them are also including that he put up forward the legislation banning gender affirming medical care for trans youths. So the, like, as much as they had already made it impossible for trans youths, like we've done videos about it, check the playlist. It's been ongoing for a while. The, or where am I? Am I tiny? Check the playlist over there. Showing up in the cards on the other side of the screen. Anyway, so yeah, they had already declared that gender affirming youth is not, gender affirming care for youth is not legitimate medical care. They had some grandfather clauses in there, though, I think, saying like, if you're already on the care, we're not going to take you off of it. But if you now have legislation banning gender affirming medical care, then you have to take the kids off of it. Like, I don't think that in this one they have a grandfather exception. So they also expanded a controversial state education law limiting classroom instruction on sexual orientation and gender identity. So that was the Don't Say Gay bill that we talked about such a long time ago. Don't Say Gay has been expanded to 8th grade. Before it was like 3rd grade, and now I think they expanded it to 8th grade, or maybe they've expanded it all the way up through the entirety of high school as well. And then, yeah, they passed another bill restricting drag performances. So one of the things that I don't know if I managed to get an article together for was that in this bill that banned gender affirming medical care for trans youths, they also made it to where if you're a nurse practitioner, you can't issue hormones. So Planned Parenthoods are not providing gender affirming care in Florida anymore because most of the people who dispense hormone prescriptions are nurse practitioners. Let me see if I can pull up a link to this. When was this from? Okay, this is from today. Okay, so there are numerous new restrictions for adults, healthcare restrictions on adults. Now, keep in mind also that they already made it so that if you're on Medicaid, Medicaid does not cover gender affirming care anymore. They did that last year. So if you're a poor adult in Florida, you cannot get gender affirming care unless you pay out of pocket. Like your insurance doesn't cover it. And so this also is saying the informed consent process now requires patients 18 and over seeking gender affirming care to see a physician in person. So you cannot do telehealth, which is fucking stupid. And you have to see a physician in person, which is the specification. You cannot see a nurse practitioner anymore. So you cannot, there's a carve out for prescription renewals, but providers and experts have different interpretations over whether existing patients can receive refills without going through the new informed consent process. And that ambiguity is prompting providers to stop gender affirming care altogether. And yeah, I saw some pictures and stuff about, let's see. Yeah, Planned Parenthood Southeast and North Florida has more than 2,000 patients who were seeing nurse practitioners for gender affirming care. The network of clinics sent a message to patients on Wednesday saying that it will be pausing gender affirming care services to adapt to the new law and resume care in mid-June. So, you know, folks who may have been like needing a refill appointment, like they might just be like screwed for the next month and not have access to their hormones, which can screw with people's mental health and like mess up their lives temporarily. You know, imagine if you just like suddenly didn't have testosterone or suddenly didn't have estrogen in your body. Like, can you imagine like your body would go haywire? It would not be a fun time. Like your sleep, your appetite, all kinds of shit is affected by that. And this is going to be affecting Florida economically. I've talked about this a little bit previously, but people are turning down jobs and moving out of Florida. Like, there are people dropping out of their doctorate programs at the University of South Florida. The ban on government spending means she no longer will be able to receive subsidized care through the University Health Center. Off-campus options are limited because of the other restrictions. These anti-trans policies factored into this decision. Bathroom ban is going to make it unsafe for her to use the restroom on campus. She was also concerned that DeSantis' higher education overhaul would make it more difficult to pursue her research interests in queer and feminist theory. Because DeSantis, like, this is not even something that we bother to cover on this channel because there's so much anti-trans shit coming out of Florida. But they are also invading the campus and invading the classroom and saying you are not allowed to cover certain issues anymore, and like you are not allowed to fund diversity programs. So like if you teach certain things within a classroom that are too close to what you might call a diversity program, like that class could get canceled, which means that college campuses are going to have to like change and adapt and stop talking about certain things. These people don't even care that it hurts them economically. Economic self-destruction is a hallmark of conservative governments. Yeah, but it's so hard to like here's the argument that I made earlier is earlier when I was on the Transatlantic Call-In show, is that there are Republicans who aren't overt fascists. I do truly believe that. I truly believe there are some Republicans who are not overt fascists. And I think that those people, the primary argument that you're going to get them on, like the primary way that you're going to get them to agree with you, is by saying people do not want to open up businesses in our great state of Florida anymore. People do not want to move here and invest in our children, and like people don't want to live here and pay property taxes for our schools. Like it does make a difference. Like when the times that I have seen Republicans taking the side of trans people, it usually involves that type of argument. Like it generally involves that kind of argument where they're saying, yeah, well, things, you know, like you might feel a certain way about this, but people don't want to open up businesses, and like, you know, the decision is bad for our economy and everything. The military angle seems like it would be fairly effective. Bo of the Fifth Column often points out how this disincentivizes military base expansion and harms military readiness, a thing which the Republicans claim to believe in. Right. I was watching some coverage from Alabama where there was some anti-trans bill being covered in Alabama, and a local reporter who I saw reporting on Twitter, I followed her, and she was posting about how a person was there speaking about how, you know, Space Force, like the United States Space Force, has been considering opening a new, or maybe even moving their operations into Alabama. And she was saying, my job is to consult with the US government about where to move Space Force. And you should know that this issue, like these bills that you're discussing today, these anti-trans bills, are going to influence my decision of whether I tell the US government whether they should open a new branch of the Space Force in Alabama. And yeah, there's like military money, you know, military spouses moving in, and like then their families live there and property values go up and they pay more taxes and they're buying stuff and it's good for the economy. Have you seen the video where DeSantis talks about his time in Guantanamo Bay? No, I have not. I have not. Whoa. I think the Space Force thing was canceled or something. I'm not sure what happened with that, right? I don't wholly disagree. There's some people that are like habitual Republican voters like that, but such people are a silent minority at the moment. Most econ-brained people are like libcon/centrists as it is. Right, yeah. I'm just saying, like, you know, Republicans who are making these decisions, like some of those old doddering idiots are just like fiscal conservatives, and, you know, maybe they would lean a little bit more libertarian-ish with the social issues. I know, I love how the only thing that will make these fucking morons care about our rights is if it hurts their economy. Their precious little economy. Let's see. We're not even done, y'all. We're not even done with the specific flavor of fascism in Florida today. Oh, and do you remember when we talked recently about how there were those parents who brought their teenage trans kids into the Florida State House and let them protest there, and then they, the people in charge there kind of just shut the doors to the gallery and detained their children without just cause, and like basically temporarily kidnapped a bunch of trans teenagers. And meanwhile, they had been working on passing a law that would allow the state to take custody of children who may be subject to gender affirming procedures, basically, that their parents are transing them. And that actually passed, I believe. He signed it this week. Excuse me. Let's see. The measure will also give Florida courts temporary jurisdiction over a child that has, quote, been subjected to or is threatened with being subjected to sex reassignment prescriptions or procedures. So I had a specific link about that. This one. Not now. So the new law will allow the state to take custody of a child if they have been subjected to hormone blockers, which, yeah, this includes hormone blockers and hormone replacement therapy. Florida courts could modify custody agreements from a different state if the minor is likely to receive gender-affirming care in that second state. So hypothetically, in this instance, an unaffirming parent could kidnap their trans child who is receiving affirming care in a state where it's legal. They could kidnap that child and bring them to Florida, and then Florida could rewrite the custody agreement and say, nope, this kid now belongs to this parent who kidnapped them. And since they are living in the state of Florida now, I guess, we're just going to go ahead and modify those custody agreements if the minor is likely to receive gender-affirming care in that second state. The text refers to gender-affirming care as sex reassignment prescriptions or procedures, qualifies this care as a form of, quote, physical harm. Medical facilities would have to give the State Department of Health a signed attestation that they neither provide gender-affirming care to any patients under 18 nor refer people to providers that do, and their medical license renewal is contingent upon signing this attestation. Yeah, anyone who violates the law could be charged with a misdemeanor on regards to only nurse practitioners no longer being allowed to prescribe even to adults. Minors who've already begun transitioning will be allowed to continue to do so, but they are no longer allowed to receive care via telehealth, including for prescriptions. Their doctors are required to tell them about the, quote, risks of gender-affirming care, and patients will have to sign an informed consent form, which the ACLU has pointed out often contains misinformation. And doctors who violate any of these new rules could be charged with a felony. So it's very much like the whole abortion thing where, there were at times, and there probably still are in some places, requirements that they lie to you, such as doctors being required to say, well, if you get an abortion, then you might have an increased risk of getting breast cancer later on. And that's not true. That's just I think that maybe pregnancy can increase your risk of breast cancer because you have an increase of estrogen in your body temporarily, but that's not the same as saying that getting an abortion will increase your chance of cancer later on. So they're just, requiring them to lie in order to be able to continue dispensing the care. So I guess it's good that there is something of a grandfather clause, but if one of the parents disagrees, if the parents get divorced or something and one of the parents disagrees, they can just take the kid and take custody of the kid and then deny them medical care, and then they're no longer grandfathered in anymore. And that's it. That's all it would take. Let's see. And just a little cherry on top of the Florida Sunday that we're making, we've gone as in depth as I think I am able to do today on all these different bills, because I have covered all of this in some degree previously, whether it's made it fully onto the channel or not. Hi, YouTube. In the future, what is it like in the future? Is it even worse? Is it even worse there now than it was back here, back then, which is now? Cherry on top, I don't know where this came from. This is from the Orlando Police Department, though, so I guess it's likely to be true. There was a digital traffic sign in Orlando displaying an anti-gay hate message. It says "kill all gays." That's clear as day. That's clear as day. Yeah, it's worse. I came back in time to tell you. Geez, thanks, mama. So the police department is investigating an anti-gay hate message that was displayed on a digital traffic sign early Wednesday morning near Lake Nona. The sign altered to say "kill all gays" just before 4 a.m. It appeared to be tampered with, and there is an active investigation. So it's, I guess, unclear whether they're trying to say it was not some kind of actual traffic controller who changed this. They're saying some goon, some silly bean came and fucked with the programming and edited it, and they hacked it. It was tampered with, I say. So unclear as to where that came from. But yeah, there's just a sign on the side of, look at this, it's like a decently lit intersection in a pretty nice neighborhood. Like, this sign right here in front of it, this looks like it's near a gated community or something. Like, that's kind of the impression that I'm getting. And there's like clean lines on the road. That looks like an affluent neighborhood. So yeah, just kill all gays right there. All of the laws are like working toward that effect. Like, let's be totally clear that the underlying motive behind restricting a bunch of access to medical care for trans people is that they want us to die. And so yeah, it just, every once in a while you get a nice little nugget of like, oh, they took the mask off, they said they hate the gays. If it had said kill all Nazis, they would be outraged. Absolutely, right? Yeah, at a certain point it's like, what do you say? Like, what can you possibly say about this except like, if you're queer you need to be in a militia now. Like, I really don't love that this is where I land on this. And I'm like, oh my God, I wish that there was a local John Brown gun club near where I live. There's not. And I really wish that there was, because I don't know what else to do except to be organized and say like, hey, you know, if you're going to come after us, we will defend ourselves. Like, point blank period. I'm sorry. I've heard those are really easy to mess with. Apparently they have some kind of keyboard on them and you just need a password, and the password is often like 1234 or password. Yeah, I did not think that they were difficult to hack into. Like, hacker mode, just glasses come down. I'm in. They don't seem like they'd be hard to mess with. But yeah, I mean, is that not technically vandalism? Or at least tampering with government property? Because I don't think that, well, I guess those might belong to the individual contractors, so it's tampering with private property. It's just a prank, bro. It's just a prank, bro. So, I mean, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Get the hell out of Florida if you still live in Florida. Like, oh my, like yesterday, you need to be out of Florida. Break your lease, sell all your stuff, give away your cat. I don't know, man. Like, you gotta get the fuck out of there. If it was too difficult to hack, then only trans women can mess with it. True. Oh boy. I guess we'll end the segment there, since I pretty much just like blasted through it and exhausted the whole topic, and like that'll make it a little bit easier for me to edit quickly if there's not a whole lot of random asides and stuff through the video. If you ask the cops what crime it is, they'll just laugh at you because they don't think it's a crime. Good night, Ellet. Good night. So long. Farewell. I bet whoever messed with that sign has a name and address. Yeah, but where are you gonna find them? There's a little pick-me-up in the stream recs. Ooh! Discord. Stream recommendations in the Discord. Stream recommendations, that's where I'm trying to go. Am I allowed to listen to Garfunkel and Oates? Am I allowed to do that, or is that going to get the stream caught up? As a hardware hacker, can confirm they are super easy. Literally spent the afternoon turning off TVs using a Flipper Zero. Hardware hacking is fun. It's Garfunkel and Oates. So I would assume that I cannot listen to it.
So we have
Nope,
data.
shut. Oh yeah, Just for Laughs has 1.41 million subscribers. I'm pretty sure that this will get caught by the content ID. I wonder if maybe I just need to, when I'm watching videos, if I should just have them flipped. Like, if I should just plan to have them play back, like, flipped backwards so that I don't get caught up as easily. But the audio is tough. No, no need to apologize. I mean, it's my job to screen the content. For sure. Oh boy. I had such a good time today. And I'm really looking forward to making myself dinner and then playing Breath of the Wild. Not Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. That game is so lit. Did I have something else I wanted to talk about today? I think maybe... Is that the Hello Darkness, My Old Friend song? No. I was like, so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, saying goodbye. I don't know what that is from, but it's not the same as Hello Darkness, My Old Friend. That's a thing. I'm about to fire it up right now. It's so fun. Oh my god, yeah. I don't even have all of the towers yet. I am on my way toward the tower near Hateno Village. The Sound of Music. Is that The Sound of Music? Blank of the Blank. That's like the stereotypical title on a it's like the title on a book, on like novels, fantasy novels. I've only had time to play for a couple of hours. I will admit that I set aside some other responsibilities that I had this past weekend in order to play like 24 hours of Zelda, like from the time it came out. I know, yeah, Fuck Me in the Ass Because I Love Jesus is by Garfunkel and Oates. I like that. But Simon and Garfunkel is a different thing. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. Because a vision softly creeping. I'm really surprised that I have any singing voice in me right now. It doesn't sound great, but the fact that it's working at all is kind of impressive, TBH. Ugh. Ugh. You kind of sound like him. Oh, well, thank you. Oh my god, water. Just needs to be double-tracked, yeah. I know that's Simon and Garfunkel. Is Garfunkel and Oates named for the second names of the bands Simon and Garfunkel and Hall of Oates? It's a fusion. 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 I don't know. I have no idea. Sadly, my clients cannot wait, but after today, I'm pretty far ahead of my workload, so I can fuck about tomorrow. Yo, I mean, any amount of Tears of the Kingdom that you can play, it is so fucking good. Oh man, it's so fucking good. Oh, they're the two less popular members of each band. That's funny. Oats and cinnamon. Oats and cinnamon. Oats and cinnamon. Oh, gosh. Oh my god, when did I even start streaming today? I started streaming at 6:30. It's been 2.5 hours. Oh man. All right, you know what? I think I gotta log off for tonight. If you missed it earlier, I was on the Transatlantic Call-In show for 3 hours today. You should watch that. Let me pull up a link to it so that, you know, if you want more Luxander content tonight, you can go get it. Simon and Garfunkel actually hated each other. That's not entirely surprising to me. So if you want to, you are welcome to watch this video where I talked to Arden Hart on the Transatlantic Call-In show, and we took callers, and you know, it's kind of like a call-in show specifically about gender questions. So we had a couple of gender critical type folks, and it was a good time. So if you want to see that, feel free to check it out. I will probably be on the Transatlantic Call-In show again in the future. And yeah, with that said, I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And as far as I know, I will be seeing you on Sunday. So be good until then.